Welcome, everybody. It is build day. Today we're building the Mode Designs Sonnet, a 75% keyboard. It is Monday, January 16th, 2023. As of recording this is my second Mode Sonnet build. Because of my release schedule, who knows which video will come out first. I'd give it a 50-50 shot either way. Well, actually, no, I think the first one's probably more likely. Because I was build montage, and I've already got the sound test shot for it, whereas this one, no sound test shot, and I typically batch those. So, I don't know. Remains to be seen. One of them will come out first. But today we're building this Mode Sonnet. Much like with the Mode 65, I hadn't intended on getting two sonnets. Sometimes getting two keyboards just kind of happens to you, especially with Mode, where it's very easy with the extra parts to end up with almost enough for a second Mode Sonnet, or 65, or 80. And then you're just like, oh, if I just got a PCB, or if I just got blank, whatever, I'd have a whole second one, and how about that? And yeah, that's me. So yeah, this is my second one. This really came together quite nicely, though, all that to say. I saw a friend's green Mode keyboard. Was it an 80 or a Sonnet? Did the 80 come green? Regardless, I saw the green top and I was like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, it's awesome. It looks so good. And then the thing that really triggered this was Mode and Mod Musings, one of my favorite YouTube channels, collaborated on an accessory for the Mode Sonnet. You can see it's kind of wood grain on the box. Let me get that a little closer up here. It is an accent piece made of wood for the Sonnet. If you've seen a Sonnet before, it's got that accent strip across the top. You'll see in just a second here. They made one out of wood. How about that? I thought that would go great with the green of the aluminum top case. And then I've got a polycarbonate bottom, a couple different weights to choose from. And then I thought the green with the wood oak accent, it's oak wood accent up top, would look really great with CRP. So I have CRP to put on it. For my plate, I tried a friend's Mode Sonnet at a meetup. Carbon fiber plate felt and sounded incredible. So we're doing isolated top mount carbon fiber today. And then we'll be using the Wuque Studio MM switches, which I learned stands for mix and match, which blew my mind when I learned it. What is my build here? They are ultra high molecular weight polyethylene umwipe bottoms. That's the purple. The blue top is nylon, and the green stem is LY, which is a not an alloy. What's it called? A blend that I'm not 100% sure what is in that blend. They ended up being very cute switches, but they're a bunch of my favorite materials. I had initially gotten nylon tops and bottoms, which I might still try the nylon bottoms at some point. But then a friend of mine, Matt Vortex, Switch Enabler, who I've mentioned in other videos, said the umwipe bottoms with the LY stems were incredibly smooth, and he is not wrong. These are some of the, even pre-lube, these were incredibly smooth switches. Then I've got the 63 gram dual stage spring in here, I believe, and then nylon top for the topping out sound. I really like nylon housing. So we put those on a carbon fiber plate, hot swap PCB, green top, polycarbonate bottom, wood accent. I've got two weights we're gonna look at. So let me switch things around here. I almost have enough parts to build two Mode Sonnets. Well, and I do have enough parts to build two Mode Sonnets, but I only have a solder PCB and a hot swap PCB because, again, I didn't plan to build two of these. I didn't totally get all the support parts, if you will, that I needed. So I took apart my first Sonnet, which, again, the video may or may not be out for yet, to get the hot swap PCB out. So that actually saves us a bit of work today because I've already tested this PCB. I was using this keyboard earlier today and all is well, but always test your PCB before you build the keyboard. And then Pastian was nice enough to already put stabilizers in this one for me. So these are TX stabs, the long pole version, because these are long pole switches, and I found those to be very effective in stabilizing keys that have long pole switches under them better. So we actually get to skip the first couple steps. How about that? I'm just going to go through I've got the build guide as usual off screen here. Going to go through the parts list real quick. Top and bottom case I talked about, green aluminum polycarbonate bottom, wood accent, 2 weights we're going to pick between, carbon fiber plate, got our hot swap PCB, daughter board and stuff's off screen ready to go. Yeah, we're looking in good shape here. I've got all the screws already laid out here because I just took apart a Sonnet, so I just set everything aside as we went. As always, incredible build guides from Mode. Step 1, testing the PCB. They know they're part of the gang. You know, always test the PCB. This is the downside of filming on a black surface. Is as I look up at the camera monitor, boy howdy, I need to watch this soon. But it's also easy to tell when I'm in focus because my camera highlights things that are in focus in the color red. So it's very easy to tell what is or isn't in focus. This camera does it too. My hands aren't very high contrast. This camera does it too. It's just I'm looking at the tiny little camera screen over here, whereas on the top camera I've got a, I don't know, monitor about yay big, something like that. So anyway, sorry, gross, will clean. Step 1, test the PCB. Easy peasy. Then we are, see, they always do this. They have you do the case prep first, which, you know what, actually, not a bad idea. We're gonna listen to our friends at Mode today, and we're gonna prep the case. Why not? I'm mostly doing this to talk about the Mode Sonnet as we go, because again, I've already built one and used one for quite a while. It's a stunning keyboard. Got this cloth from Protozoa at the London Keyboard Meetup. Big shout out to them. It's a great cloth as a building surface, because this is half of it. I can unfold it again and it covers like the whole thing. It's wonderful cloth for this sort of thing. Great to meet them at the London Meetup. So again, this is mostly about me just getting to talk about the Mode Sonnet. The first video I shot, like I said, is a montage, so I'll probably shoot a talking head in the middle talking about it there as well. I might or might not though, so that's why I wanted to do this. I also just noted as I was unboxing the top case here. Love that flavor text from Mode. Been a big fan of that since the 80. Great spot to put the QR code for the build guide. The attention to detail from Mode is some of the best. So excited to talk about the Sonnet as we go here. I think it's a pretty incredible keyboard from a pretty incredible company. Mode keeps killing it as we stand here now on Monday, January 16th, 2023. The Mode Envoy has been teased. It'll be going on sale 2 weeks from now. I feel like in all these videos I'm always talking about Mode about to put something on sale, but they're just out here killing it, you know? So here we go. This is the green Sonnet top case. And we've got our really cool polycarbonate bottom, kind of see-through there. Big fan of that. Love some good polycarbonate. You know what, actually, I'm not going to have a video to show this, and so hang on, let me grab something. As long as I'm just, again, shamelessly plugging Mode stuff in this video, can we talk about how beautiful this keyboard is? This is as far as I know, one of 3 Mode 80 2020 edition. They had prototyped doing a polycarbonate top for it. Something or another didn't work out. I'm not quite sure what happened. I learned about the existence of this board from a picture of Dutch Masters at the Novel Keys meetup. Reached out to my good friends at Mode. Not sponsored, by the way. I buy all the products I have from them. Reached out to my friends and said, hey, what's up with that keyboard? And they offered to sell me one of the proto units. So as far as I know, they have one, Dutch Master has one, I have one. Polycarbonate as a material, just, my goodness, you get that little look inside, the kind of just frosted, ghosty exterior, like, come on. And then they were nice enough to bolt my top to a first edition bottom case. You can see a production flaw in the reflection of the light there, which really I think just adds to the character of the keyboard. I knew about that before I bought it. They were very upfront about that. But I think it just adds to the whole character and, hello, prototypeness of this board. Like, look at this thing. Polycarbonate is just, you just heard it creak. I turned it upright there. There's a reason this did not go to production. I'm not sure what it is, but I have some guesses. But you can see the whole stack up through there. Really just stunning. Very kind of Mode to offer to part ways with it so that I could have it in my collection. Being such a big fan of the Mode 80, this is like the perfect build. I put this together for the meetup, where I saw my friend's Sonnet with the CF plate, so I just did white on black, the Hibby Relegendable Artisans, which, my goodness, look at those. Look at those, and I threw in Escape Labs Series 0, black anno on the Escape. Just a really clean package. That was a totally unnecessary aside, but that board's not going to get a video of its own, so figured I'd quick plug it now as long as we're simping for Mode here and their use of polycarbonate. The Envoy, the Founders Edition, is smoked polycarbonate. I'm not too sure how you, probably chemical dip, I'd imagine. And then there's going to be a polycarbonate version of the Envoy available, so that's very, very tempting. I can already sense the Envoy is a board I'm going to end up with 2 of, because apparently that's what I do with Mode keyboards. So, feet. I am a... Here, let me not talk while I'm crumpling. Loud plastic. I'm a big fan of long strip feet like this. Corner feet, totally fine, nothing wrong with them, but I really like the long contiguous feet like this. Because I filmed the first one of these as a build montage, the whole actual build process is such a blur in my mind, because not only am I reading the build guide, making sure I'm staying on track, making sure I don't miss any steps, but I'm also planning shots, where to put the slider. I was building simultaneously via the internet. What a marvel of technology, and possibly society's biggest mistake. I was building via the internet simultaneously with one of my friends on Thanksgiving, which was pretty special. So just adding to the levels of distraction as I was building my first one of these. I really don't remember the process that well. So this is kind of like my first time doing it, because the first time I built one of these, I was doing it for the camera, so to speak. So I was not very present in the process. So I'm excited to get the second one done here, really understand the build process. Normally I'm, oh boy. With these feet, you just want to lay them in. You don't want to be stretching it. But the grooves, said that a little like Christopher Walken, the grooves on the bottom of this are very light. So I'm just gonna make sure I stay on track here. For a brief moment in my mind, I considered barely talked to the good thing I aborted the plan I'm about to talk about. For a brief moment in my mind there, I considered continuing the Christopher Walken impression, and for your sake, decided against it. And there's a plane that sounds like it's about to crash in a cartoon outside my window. The wonders of living in the Bay Area, there's just so much air traffic everywhere. The mini airports, Moffett. There's a lot going on. There we go. Great. And Mode, as usual, did include one of their very nice screwdrivers to perform the build process with. And also, as usual, I like my tools, so I'm going to use my rainbow hex keys, because it's also easy for me to remember which size is which. I can grab them blind. Big fan of not having to pay attention while I do stuff, because this is a pretty zen process for me getting to make these videos. So honestly, it's kind of like I used to have a podcast where I talked about movies with actually the same friend I was building the Sonnet with on Thanksgiving. I also married him and his wife on a mountaintop in Colorado during the pandemic. We're really close, suffice it to say. When I started in on night school, I had to drop the podcast. It was too time demanding. being on a regular schedule. But all that to say, I like the process of filming these videos. It reminds me a lot of that same energy of just sitting and chatting with a voluntarily captive audience. Nothing wrong with that, but I get to talk about what I'm thinking about and talk about a topic I'm passionate about. When I was doing the podcast, it was movies. Now it's keyboards. Two things I love very dearly. And I talked about Christopher Walken and movies. I'm gonna have some dinner after this, and I really want to watch Wedding Crashers. That is certainly not the pinnacle of Christopher Walken's career. I just want to make that clear right now. That's not what I'm insinuating. Just when I think of Christopher Walken, one of my favorite movies is Wedding Crashers. Especially when you just want like a movie to unwind. You're not looking to think about anything. On the TV front, I'm rewatching Mr. Robot right now, so certainly enough thinkiness in my life in terms of media at the moment that I'm on my second full rewatch of Mr. Robot, and yeah, that shows a thinker, and really different the second time around. All right, this daughter board, I feel like, is not sitting up completely flush to the front edge of the case. We have our first bit of interest in the build here. Technically, I guess we don't need those front screws, but I do think it's a good idea to... okay, so this happens sometimes. This PCB was broken off of a larger piece of... I used my pale hand to try and show something made of FR4. We're going to use my color checker. Is there anything identifying on this, like a serial number? No, that doesn't appear to me. Good news. As with a lot of these smaller PCBs, you can see those little bits sticking off the front. This PCB was broken off of a larger piece of FR4, probably a piece of FR4 that held lots of these daughter boards. And the little burrs are just sticking off enough that it's stopping the daughter board from getting all the way up against the little lip below the hole for the USB-C port there. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go off screen and do this because I don't want to get FR4 flakes on the desk. But I'm just going to use a pair of flush cutters here. Mine are Vice Grip brand. Is that a brand? Did I buy knockoffs? I can't remember why I picked these. Anyway, I'm going to use a pair of flush cutters just to trim that up a little bit here. I'll put it on the floor for my vacuum robot to deal with. Yeah, just need to shave a little bit off, nothing major. Anytime you're really sanding or cutting FR4, I'd highly recommend doing it outdoors. FR4 is basically resin-impregnated fiberglass. So you know how they talk about, doing fiberglass work in a house or whatever can make your skin quite itchy. Well, imagine that in your lungs. Not such an attractive idea, I don't think. Actually, you know what? For the moment here, I'm talking about movies and Christopher Walken. I do want to talk about Mode's work here, especially on the topic of polycarbonate. You can see here that where the daughter board screws in, there's those silver inserts. Those are called Heli-Coils. Heli-Coils? Heli-Coils? Whatever. I'll put the name of them on screen, or future Ian will, probably begrudgingly. And that allows you to basically add threads to stuff that doesn't have them, or actually replace threads and stuff that's stripped, which is pretty cool. You can see this hole, this hole here, that my finger's touching the bottom of, is a pass-through. That's for the case screw. Where those Heli-Coils are, is where the weight and daughter board screws in. So my hunch, if I may provide such a hunch, on why the polycarbonate topped Mode 80 never ran is because, actually I have a visual aid here, I realized I can see through the bottom where my feet aren't quite stuck on. So I'm using that opportunity. On the way Mode keyboards are connected, the top case screws into the bottom case via these posts. I'm willing to bet that the polycarbonate posts wouldn't handle a helicoil. May have been fragile, whatever it could be. So I'm willing to bet that's why they never ran a polycarbonate top 1. They were able to run a polycarbonate top 65 because the fasteners were all along the back and were much shorter and had inserts like that. I'm not sure they were Heli-Coils. Heli-Coils? I hear it differently in my head than the way my mouth says it. That's strange. I'm wondering if that's why the polycarbonate 80 never ran. Polycarbonate also can be just a tricky material yields-wise, which is why I'm very impressed that there was a polycarbonate bottom on the Sonnet. There's a pretty aggressive curve Pretty complex curve, actually, too, now that I think about it, on the underside of the Sonnet. As soon as I screw this daughter board in, I'll pick it up and show you what I'm talking about. So I'm pretty impressed. Now the Envoy is a unibody top case, and it's coming in polycarbonate, so clearly they've refined their manufacturing methods some, and polycarbonate is a material that means something to them for them to keep trying. You can see this pretty aggressive, what's the best angle for this? There you go. This pretty aggressive fillet on the underside of this, and it's a complex curve as well, and there's a fillet all the way. Well, actually, that might be a flat surface. Oh, you know what? I think that is a flat surface. I always thought that was curved, but there's a really big fillet right there that matches up with a fillet on the top case to kind of create this really dramatic undercut on the Sonnet. Man, I always thought that back surface was curved. Too funny. Maybe it's just the polycarbonate one? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, it's a cool material. I'm glad that Mode keeps trying, because it's a material I like. I think it is very forgiving with whatever keycaps you're going to use, you know? It doesn't have a color of its own. I mean, even like white or silver aluminum is still a color, whereas like polycarbonate, as you can tell with the gray cloth below it, or the, you know, it's like not a color. It's like, yeah, I think it's a great material. All right, so we got our daughter board connected. That's our bottom case all prepped up. So we're going to tuck these pieces back together and get them out of the way, because we're moving on to PCB prep. I usually just start with PCB prep because this feels like a weird couple steps to do right at the beginning. But again, I'm kind of in Zen mode about this today, so we're just going to do it the way Mode wants us to. We're going to get that out of the way. I don't think microfiber cloths retain a lot of static electricity, but I'd rather not find out by putting a PCB on one end and toasting it, especially when it's such a nice PCB designed by a friend of the channel, Gondo Lindrum. Big fan of his PCBs. It's funny, you see this keyboard was called the Mode 75 at one point there, and then they changed it to Sonnet. I like that they're breaking away from the numbers. The numbers were cool branding. I dug it. But I do like that they're experimenting with names some, even if I'm not totally sure what Sonnet means in this scenario, but that's not for me to know. That's for them to know. For PCB prep, the first thing they talk about is putting on the PE foam. I did in my original build. You can hear those sound tests in that video. Not going to do PE foam today. Mix it up a little bit. Next up is installing the stabilizers, which again, Pastian has nicely done for us already. And then it is it's switch installation time. So let me grab my carbon fiber plate here. Very excited to try this. In general, I really like composite or plastic plates. That's why I use a lot of like polycarbonate or FR4 is another pretty common one for me. And I would put, well, I mean, definitionally carbon fiber is a composite, but just in terms of plate materials, it's definitely in the composite category still for me. It's a stiff but not firm plate, which I like, especially in the Sonnet since there's no screw point right near the space bar. I want this to be quite stiff. Big fan of this, and just what a stunning material too. I mean, goodness gracious, look at that. So we're gonna get ready to install that here. Whatever these little baggies are that the components are held in the Mode Sonnet packaging, I love whatever this is. It's like not soft, but it's smooth. Big fan. It's like heat welded on the edges. So maybe it's a plastic. I don't know. I'd like to know what that is, but it's nice. I like it. All right, so if you've been here before, you all know the rules. Step one, with getting a plate like this on, you'll notice that there are screw holes in here, but we're gonna come back to those. A lot of people would screw those on first, but I think if you did that, you're screwing up. So right in the middle of my back of my hand there, that little tiny countersunk hole. So what we're gonna do here first is we're gonna, oh, it'll snap in. Nice, that's great. We're gonna snap in a switch in each corner as far apart as possible while still using a 1U hole. Typically that is escape and right arrow on a 65. It is escape and right arrow on this 75 as well, depending on your keyboard you're building. Just as far apart, but in a 1U as possible. And the reason I'm so insistent on using a 1U hole, switch hole for this process is because now that we have these two switches in, the plate is both bound this way and this way by those switches and bound rotationally. So we have a nice constrained plate right in this moment. I've never run into it where a plate is so badly aligned by the plate screws that it makes it hard to snap in. I have heard of it though, so I always just like to, you know, do these check steps as I am building a keyboard to make sure I'm doing it as well as possible, and I don't need to go back and like take it all apart because I made a silly mistake early on. You know, whatever that might look like. So yeah, that's why I do that way. Just it puts the plate already into its prime position. And then and not all plates screw to all PCBs either. In this case it does, so I'm going to put those screws in here now. And then as soon as I am done putting these screws in, I'm going to snap in the rest of these switches. I'll probably test my stabilizers first actually, so I'll probably snap in those. I'll do that all during the time lapse. I'm confident in these stabilizers. The spacebar's been a little, the spacebar's been a little hinky on this build. It like ticks at weird times, but then during normal typing it doesn't tick, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. I think I've got it sorted now, so just as a matter of practice, I will test those before I snap in the rest of the switches, but that will all be done during time lapse. So I will see you on the other side. From here, we're just snapping them in. Not exciting, not interesting, but it makes for a decent time lapse. Here we go. Alright, well there you go. Those switches are just adorable, especially juxtaposed against the rather hardcore looking carbon fiber plate that I've selected. But I think those are pretty cool. I like that. Great. Switch is installed. We love it. Plate caps. Plate caps. So these are the isolated part of isolated top mount, as Mode calls it. These are little rubber guys that you kind of boop onto each of these plate tabs, and they act as isolators. Yeah, I guess it's right in they described it best right in the name, isolated top mount. That way you're not transmitting energy directly from the plate into the metal chassis. Some people have found that if you actually use O-rings on your screws, you can get a little more isolation. I was testing that in the previous Sonnet build. I can't say I noticed a huge difference on the Sonnet. On the 65, or was it? No, I was testing on the 65, sorry. On the aluminum 65, I noticed it less than on the polycarbonate one. The polycarbonate one, I noticed it quite a bit when I switched to O-rings. I'll make sure I provide a link to those O-rings that I used, as well as the video that informed me of this mod. But on the Sonnet so far, the plate caps have been just fine. You can see one there. So they act as a little break between the plate and the case. So our PCB is actually all prepped to go here. So oh my god, there's BDZ fresh on the mat. Where? Why? Is it on my hands? It's everywhere. Oh my god, it's on my pinky. I must have rubbed it up against one of the stabilizers. Ah, the little purple dots on the back of the PCB are really cute. One of the checkpoints here, I'll stop and talk about the Sonnet for a second. I really love that they just extended basically the platform they designed with the 65 to this. I mean, it's the same plate tabs, it's the same PCB layout, slightly different PCB shape because of the shape of the Sonnet chassis. They really just added a symmetrical FRO to a standard 65 layout, and I think it looks just incredible, but then they complemented it with this incredible curvy external case. The 65 was very angular like the 80, and the Sonnet's not soft looking, but softer for certain. Next up, we are prepping our top case here. I didn't test the switches in the PCB because I already put the daughter board in the bottom case. That's, I think, why I usually do this in a different order. I'll test it certainly before I start putting caps on and all that. But now we get to the main event here, which is the Mode and Mod Musings collaboration piece here. This wonderful wood oak, oak wood, not wood oak, oak wood top piece, accent rather, that'll go in this kind of gutter in the top case here. I've got a number of these accents. I ordered a lot of these accents, but I'm very excited to try this wood one. You can actually see it, some of the oil from the wood, because these are all oiled for protection, has leached into the paper. Like, this is the real business with these, and it just looks so good. Like, it's some of the darkest oak. I think my polishing cloth just fell off my shoulder. Yep, that's what happened. It's some of the darkest oak I have seen generally. I think perhaps in my life I just maybe see more white oak. I know there's a lot of different types of oak, but this is darker than expected to be, which is good because I have a walnut desk, and on the Mode Envoy there are walnut accent options, but this is specifically an oak wood, I believe designed to match Mod Musing's studio, which you should definitely go check out his channel if you haven't. His studio is phenomenal. So I haven't actually taken this out yet. I'm gonna say there are Heli-Coils in this. Yes, there are. Good job, Mode. So there you go. You can see, just like in the polycarbonate bottom, it's all Heli-Coils, baby. Yeah, just Heli-Coils. Heli-Coils. I think it's what I've been trying to say this whole time. Not Heli-Coils, Heli-Coils. It's just Heli-Coils all the way down today. Maybe that's the title of the video. Who knows? You know, I don't know what the title of the video is yet. Yeah, and that just lays right in there. God, that looks good. Okay, let me screw that in and then hold it up so y'all can take a gander at that. If you want to check out Mod Musings one more time, there's his logo and spelling. Matthew, the owner of the Mod Musings channel, has a pretty incredible design pedigree, and it really shows in his projects. So let me grab our protozoa friend. Oh boy, where did I put it? Castian, where did you hide it? There it is. Now that we're done with the PCB. It's funny, I get comments every now and then about people worried to build keyboards because of how much I baby the parts while I'm building them, like putting down the microfiber and everything. It's honestly just because I photograph my boards and usually post on Instagram after I build them, so I want them to be as pristine as possible for that. It is difficult to actually like damage the anodization or something on one of these. I'm just being extra careful because I know what I want to do with the board. I don't want it to be as nice and pristine as possible, but you really don't need to baby these things. Building a keyboard is certainly easier than building a gaming PC, I would say, and I'm sure a number of you have done that before. So I'm just tightening these down till I just feel some resistance. The Heli-Coils are Heli-Coils. Oh my god, whatever. The threaded inserts are really quite capable. I just don't want to overdo it. I'm not sure that one's grabbing. It's a Heli-Coil. Oh, I think I got it. Yep, there we go. Just a little bit of resistance. A lot of people will use keys like this and twist by the long part. It is so easy to over torque. You definitely want to twist by the short part. So your lever arm is a little shorter and you don't accidentally over torque something. Over torquing parts is much easier to do than it seems. Fortunately, Mode uses great quality screws and all that. There are certainly some other keyboard kits I've had that have very zinc heavy screws, so they're quite soft. Wow, that is absolutely stunning. I'm just making sure I've got it centered here. It looks like I do. The wood on green, that's exactly how I pictured that. That is awesome. Right, how good is that? I'm so excited for the Envoy with the additional wood options. That's great. That is great. All right, so we got that in there. Wait time. So we've got two to pick from here. My original thought was the brushed stainless steel. Really what my plan here is just to like hold them into the bottom case. This is actually, here we go, another checkpoint to talk about the Sonnet a little bit. You see how that screw hole is countersunk, so the screw sits flat. It's actually countersunk on both sides. Early on during the streamer builds and everything, Mode got a lot of feedback that the users wanted to be able to pick which side of the weight showed. Because one side might have been prettier than the other, you know, whatever it might be. So Mode, instead of worrying about finishing both sides identically, just countersunk both sides of the weight so the user gets to pick. I think that's great. All that to say, this side is very specularly shiny. This side's a little more diffuse. So I think I'm gonna put this facing the outside of the board. And really my plan here is just to put these in here, kind of hold it in with my fingers and flip it over and see how it looks. Okay, that looks pretty cool. You can see it kind of floating in there. Obviously anything through polycarbonate is gonna be quite diffuse. You're not getting specular reflections out of something shiny behind polycarbonate. So that's option 1. Oh boy. There we go. This is quite heavy, obviously being stainless steel. I'm gonna put that back in there, and then I'm gonna wipe my finger oils off of the shiny side. Keep it as pristine as possible, like I was just talking about. And then the other one, which I think I'm kind of leaning towards, having seen the silver in there now, is the Anno Black aluminum one. This one's significantly lighter. This one weighs next to nothing. But I think that might show through in a slightly more satisfying way through the polycarbonate. Oh, I do like that. It almost kind of achieves the same colorless thing when you look at it from the right angle, which I dig. We're gonna start with this. I'm gonna swap it out, and I need to do something for the sound test in this video, so maybe that I swap the weights out and we see if that has any effect. I like doing the sound tests because I learn just as much from them as y'all do. Granted, because of my release habits, you're often learning them about a keyboard you can't get anymore, but knowledge is power. I'm gonna quick make sure I don't have any finger oils on this side that I'm sealing in, so to speak. Yep, we're in good shape. So that little cutout just goes around the daughter board. Mode very cleverly for the stack mount on this board included 2 lengths of screws for the weight, one that reaches through the stack mount and the weight, one that just reaches through the weight. So we'll be using the shorter ones that just reach through the weight today. Weight fastened. I was doing some swapping around, shooting the sound tests for the black Sonnet build, and I unscrewed the weight and forgot about it and went to go reassemble it and dropped the rainbow titanium weight just directly onto the surface in front of me and caught the edge of the keyboard. Fortunately, only one side of the weight was damaged, which because you can flip it, easy peasy, but that was pretty startling. It was very loud. All right, cool. We're at assembly time here. I did think this one would go a little quicker than a normal build because some of the prep work was already done, and I seem to have been correct about that. So that's great because your boy wants to eat dinner soon here. I've been doing homework and stuff all day, and I'm ready to eat. So, top case. Now we're gonna take our. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna break from script here. There's no script what I'm talking about. I'm gonna break from the build guide here. I'm real quick going to crack open VIA and test this PCB before we screw anything together, just because I'm anxious in that particular way. Daughter board connected. We're just going to lay it on the polycarbonate here. Oh, but there is metal there. I'm just going to slightly prop it up with my finger so we're not possibly shorting out on the weight on the bottom. When you have the keyboard assembled, that's not a problem because there's an air gap, but I'm just kind of resting it there at the moment. And that doesn't strike me as a great idea. It's so funny to me how kind of cutesy pastel these switches are compared to the, again, relatively, oh, that's a stabilizer, compared to the relatively brutal plate they're on. Oh my god, I totally forgot to put a switch in. Y'all have probably been yelling at the screen. Whoops. Alright, we're real quick gonna make up for that. Oh, and I actually did find my springs at the bottom of the switch container. They are, in fact, the 63.5 gram dual stage springs from Wuque. I think that's a good switch weight. I've been pretty happy around there lately. There we go. Boy, howdy. There we go. All right, brief intermission. Always just like to validate. Now, ultimately it switches. I could have just popped one out once I had the everything mounted together. But why not do it right the first time? You know what I'm saying? So with this one, our little wiggly plate, not wiggly, our little appendages there, sticking out, just kind of slot in to the bottom case. This actually might be more clear on the other camera that you kind of drop it in to place. Something's catching just a little bit. I'm not sure what's catching. I think it might just be the carbon fiber plate is like just the maximum size here. That does appear to be it. It has slid down into place. Those are where they should be. We love it. It's almost like my plate's rubbing on the case just a little bit, but not in like a way that I can easily see where it would be happening. So I'm not concerned about it. PCB is definitely not touching, so that's fine. We're gonna call that good. We're gonna leave it facing this way. With Mode's keyboards, I find if you leave the USB port facing yourself, that's generally the easiest for assembly. I use 2mm drive, no, 1.5 every time. So once you got that dropped in there, you screw in your little tabs. If you're doing stack mount, you would not screw it in, and the whole thing just kind of rests on that bottom piece of silicone that you can optionally install. I realized when doing the sound tests for the first Sonnet video that I think I'm not actually a fan of stack mount. I'm a fan of the way that 80 did stack mount, but now that they're using the silicone pieces, I don't like it quite as much. It's still a really good way of mounting and provides very even support, as I talk about in my 80-20-20 review. But I think I do prefer the old pour-on way of doing it in terms of like, wow, this is a mounting system that I really like. In the 65 and the Sonnet so far, I found that I really like the top mount. I won't talk about it too much now because I don't want to take away from that video, but the Envoy's mounting system is very cool. I'm really, really excited for that to come out. I think the partnership with Carbon 3D is quite something, especially for the keyboard hobby. That's a really big name to be partnering with. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see how that feels. I like that they're including the two different blocks. But anyway, on the 65 and the Sonnet, I think I've determined that I prefer the isolated top mount, or the O-ring top mount I was talking about earlier, which isn't technically O-ring mount because O-ring mount in keyboards is already a different thing. The simultaneous strict adherence to standards in keyboards and also somewhat disregard for standards in keyboards is maddeningly confusing at times. So we got that all screwed in. Now there's this little lip, just like on the 65, on the front edge of your, on the front edge of your bottom case. That lip goes into a slot in the front edge here, and then it kind of clamshells down. The reason, and this is why I'm thankful at the moment that I have two cameras recording this, the way that I find is, let me try that sentence again. The reason I prefer having the USB port facing towards me is because, cut to the other camera, feature Ian, is because you can kind of reach in this gap here and plug in your JST cable, which connects the PCB to the daughter board. When it's facing away from you, you kind of have to weirdly turn it around and face it back towards yourself. But there you go. And that just drops into place, and then you just put in your fasteners and you're off to the races. Again, don't need a whole lot of tension on these since you're screwing into polycarbonate. Finger tight is just fine. And when I say finger tight, I realize I say that a lot in my videos. The loose version of finger tight is I'm holding my hex key just by the barrel, so only as much force as I can do like that, you know, and it's like turning a screwdriver with a really small handle. It doesn't give you a lot of lever. But then with something like this where I've got a little more faith in how much force the piece can withstand, then I'll push against the little short arm here just to get a little bit more. But again, just finger tight. If you're wrapping your hand around the hex key or using the long arm of it, chances are you're putting on too much torque and you might damage your keyboard, which wouldn't be fun. That's looking great so far. So then you can kind of see, let me hold it up here, the kind of complex curve I was talking about, where the fillet starts in the top case and then the bottom case has a matching fillet, and you get this really cool undercut. My other Sonnet has the mirror bottom, so it kind of reflects the light in a really cool way, and they meet along the back as well. And I think that's a stunner right there. That's some good stuff. Good side profile. Big fan. But now we need to throw some crap on this board, aka some CRP. That is the dumbest thing I've ever said on this channel. I am so sorry you had to hear that. I am going to test stabs one more time before I get into the time lapse of putting on the keycaps. I can already feel that this is like quite firm in a way that I like. How's the spacebar feel? So if I can align it. There we go. All right, those feel real good. I like that, a little taste of what's to come with the beige on green with the wood. So let me grab my tray for this keycap set that up right at the front there. And I will time lapse through putting on some keycaps, and I'll be right back with you for final thoughts about the Sonnet and reveal of how it looks. Let's do it. Not sure I'm doing that this video, but I like the finger snaps. That's fun. Well, there you go, gang. Nice, chill, easy build today. We'll give the B cam a little love here. Gotta figure out the autofocus situation. I've still got my macro lens on there, but the motor and the autofocus makes a noise because it's not for video, but it's a focal length I like, so there it is. Little Mode Sonnet plus wood grain action. Got the kind of stealthy black aluminum weight down there. It's funny looking at it in the camera and looking at it in front of me. It really looks like kind of this weird invisible sort of thing through the polycarbonate. I like how that turned out. I may try the stainless steel still at some point. This is a very light board at the moment, aluminum and polycarbonate. And I think the CRP looks great on the green. I think that's pretty good, right? Let me zoom in here, get the glamour shot. There you go. I'm really happy with that. I think that's great. I'm excited for my second Hotspot PCB to arrive so I can get my other Sonnet back in working order. I think I've got a cool build idea for that one. That will just be pictures, though. So I don't talk about it very often, but I've got an Instagram that I post a lot of keyboard pictures on, and the personal stuff for that matter too. But you can definitely go follow me on Instagram, and there'll be a link provided, and I post keyboard content there. So all that to say, the other build idea I have for the Sonnet will be that won't just be pictures, because I've already shown building the black Sonnet in another video, and with how precious little time I have to make videos, I don't like to double up necessarily. But I thought the wood accent was a good enough reason to make this its whole own video, and just to kind of get to be present as I was talking about for the process of building the Mode Sonnet, because last time it was all for the hashtag content. God, look at that side profile. How about that, huh? What a looker. And of see the weight floating in there. That's really cool. You can still kind of see Gondo's logo through there. Polycarbonate's a fun material, I'm telling you. I'm glad that Mode are still chasing using it as a chief material in the construction of their boards. It's a pretty cool one. Pretty cool. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you want to see more keyboard videos. You can unsubscribe the moment you don't want to anymore. Comment if you have any questions, and drop a little like button if you enjoyed hanging out with me today. And also down in the comments, if you got suggestions for things, definitely let me know. I'm always open to feedback and suggestions, but it's mostly keyboards, I'm going to tell you now. I have some ideas for some non-keyboard content. We'll see, but at least for the moment, while I have the free time that I do, which is to say not much, I'm going to focus on what brings me a lot of joy right now, and that is hanging out, building keyboards. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.